The gift: 27 acres of pristine land with 800 feet of Lake Michigan shoreline. The guardian of this magnificent gift is the Southwest Michigan Land Conservancy. Executive Director, Peter Terlau.
And to date, we've protected almost 14,000 acres, of which we own about 3,500 in 50 natural area preserves. We serve almost 1 million people in Southwest Michigan, about 80 miles of coastline from the Indiana border up to Glen, Michigan, and east into Calhoun and Branch counties. The Land Conservancy's goal is to conserve natural landscapes, open spaces, unique natural areas for the purposes of conservation of resources and also public enjoyment. Primarily, we're almost entirely a privately funded nonprofit 501c3 organization.
Incredibly generous people just want to protect their land for future generations to enjoy. Jeff Kripe, Director of Land Protection with the Conservancy, works with them to make this happen.
I work with willing landowners throughout the 9 counties of Southwest Michigan that want to give their land for conservation, or they want to protect it. In some cases, the landowner has heard through word of mouth or through other sources about the Southwest Michigan Land Conservancy. In other cases, we reach out to people that own land that has significant conservation values, whether it be for wildlife, for water quality. Typically it's both. And people, a lot of times it's their legacy. They don't want to see the land that they've nurtured and loved their entire life, sometimes across multiple generations, become anything else than the way that they've cared for it.
Which brings us back to this gift, a natural preserve about to be open for pure enjoyment by generations of thankful individuals, families, youth, church, and conservation groups.
Pilgrim Haven is an unusual, exceptional gift from the estate of Suzanne Upjohn Delano Parish, who acquired this property in the mid-1980s with the intent to see that it was never developed. Through many conversations with her and her advisors, she decided to donate this piece of property, 27 acres, 800 feet of frontage on Lake Michigan, with a beautiful stream running through the middle of it, Dickman Creek, so that we could ensure that it would always be conserved, but also always available for the public to enjoy.
Since we've received this amazing gift, we set up a community stakeholder group that came together and helped us determine the best use and management of this property. And a big part of the early process was getting input from the community, from the greater community, people that have memories camping here, using this site, beach going, to hear what they'd like to see.
The Campfire Girls of Chicago purchased this property. It served as a camp for 35 years.
And the first that I stayed here was as a campfire girl in 1928. That was a Chicago outfit that owned this property originally.
And then they sold it to the United Church of Christ, Michigan, for use as Pilgrim Haven, Camp Pilgrim Haven.
On the shores of Michigan, girl or woman, boy or man, come and join our campers' frolic till your cheeks are turned to tan.
And one of the amazing things about this property today is it is probably in a more natural state right now than it has been in almost 100 years. This property at one time had somewhere between 50 and 60 structures on it. We're standing in front of a fireplace. It was a part of I think a 2,000 square foot dining hall. Upon the gift from Mrs. Parish to the Southwest Michigan Land Conservancy, We took down several buildings and have been working over the last several years to enrich, enhance, and restore the ecology and nature to the site. We've created a pedestrian access with trails through the woods, and with our partner, the South Haven Area Recreation Authority, we have access to the beach, we have maintained trails, and there's facilities. There's a restroom that's available, as well as the garbage pickup. So it is not fully open at this moment, but you can park along the street and walk in through the pedestrian access and enjoy the nature of this site.
The first event we had out here was a design charrette, and we had a landscape architect firm that came in and heard input from the community and put those ideas into design form to create a plan for the site.
Phase 1 will be to develop a 50-car parking lot, a paved walkway to the top of the dunes, and accessibility to the beach.
Around me and behind me was historically where all the cabins were for the early camp. There were several rows of them. They've all been taken down, and so now you have this open field. And our goal is off in the distance is the existing access point off of 18th Street. And we're going to move the access point probably 100 feet to the east, and that's where we will construct, kind of in the far distance of this open green space, is where we'll construct a 50-car parking lot.
We'll have a 6-foot concrete sidewalk that will come basically out to the, past me here to the bluff and then down to the lake. This property is uniquely positioned in Southwest Michigan in that it's got low-lying sand dunes, which make it much more accessible than most of the beachfront properties or lakefront properties in this area. So it will be great to take that a step further and create an accessible route to the lakefront and a barrier-free access down to the beach, as well as amenities on the beach that will facilitate barrier-free and universal accessibility.
The expectation is it's about a $300,000 project altogether for this first phase. The really critical piece in allowing the Land Conservancy to share this with the community is our partnership with the South Haven Area Recreation Authority. The Conservancy will always own this property. As a part of that partnership, we've begun a first phase of improvements to make this property accessible and to fully open it up for daytime use throughout the year. During the past several years, we've reached out to different partners. The South Haven Public Library is involved in a storybook hike with us. The First Congregational Church of South Haven has held several events out here, including a Vesper service. The South Haven Garden Club has been an active supporter. This summer, we constructed a monarch butterfly garden way station that the South Haven Garden Club has maintained and nurtured for us.
There's a group called the Plein Air Artists of West Michigan, and they have taken to sort of an old-timey practice or hobby, art really, of painting in the plein air. And this group consists of, I think, over 40 or 50 members, and on any given paint out, you get a dozen or more artists that come out and set up their canvas and interpret the landscape through their art. So it's a really interesting experience for visitors to come and interact with these painters as they work. And we've made it an annual event out of it called the Art Walk, and this year we had it here in South Haven at Pilgrim Haven.